Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities.
Turnbuckles and Stogies. Yo, what is up? What is up, yo? Happy Sunday. Another Sunday with your favorite hostess with the mostest.
My dad, I'm doing a wrestling punch. I looked and I said, hey, I'm on a Brooklyn unit.
We're not in Brooklyn, sir. We're in upstate New York in Dutchess County. I'm originally from Yonkers. Hung out in the park.
No, wait a minute. I guess you guys don't know each other that well.
Oh, yo, what is up? What is up? This is Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod. Another Sunday fun day, yo.
Well, no, it's not Sunday. We're filming this on Wednesday. You'll see it Sunday morning, and then we'll be back next week.
Okay, cool.
We'll be back next week. But we filmed this episode because we won't be here. We'll be out of town doing something.
Because my daughter's turning 18, we'll be in the New York City Museum of Natural History. So that's where we'll be.
Why don't we just tell everybody what we're doing? We don't have to tell everybody.
All right, cool.
We can just take days off. It's okay. We're allowed to do that.
We can take days off. That's fine.
We're allowed to do that.
Okay, I agree with you.
Just saying. You don't have to tell everybody what we're doing.
All right, I'm sorry.
You like to overshare. I don't overshare anything.
Right,
you
cool.
let people know the minimum.
Let's get to the point.
I don't know. You threw me off because you cut me off.
So today, we got my man on here. We got my man. Nick Goss.
All right. Hold on. Because they moved everything around on me. Give me a second. There we go. That's labeled as the wrong one. Okay, well, I don't know where it went. They took it from me. So, there it is.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Subs in the world. Jersey Mike got the best subs in the world.
There we go.
How are you? That was an intense opening. I feel like I'm going to be on some government list or something weird now.
Whoa. Slow down, killer.
No, you'll probably be on a government list.
I would be on a government list. Not you.
Sure.
So, Nick.
Well,
yes, sir.
He's smoking a Nightman. I'm actually going to light up the hot August night.
There we go.
I've never had this one before, so.
So, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Here's my question to you.
Okay.
So how did you get into doing cigars?
I lost a bet. No, I figured it was either that or a career in HVAC or refrigerator repair.
I'm actually a electrician by trade, so
Good money on that.
I don't do it anymore, but I still know the knowledge.
Better money being an electrician than doing cigars. But we do this because we love it.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yep.
Some people are in it just to make money, but you don't make money if you don't love what you're doing.
Exactly. And people can tell. It comes across. They know. They can tell if you got the fire, if you got the passion for it, if you got, and they can tell when you probably should have retired a few years ago.
Well, yes. There's a few people that I can name, but we won't do that.
So Nick, tell me, so Buttheads.
Yeah.
We're good friends with Kevin. So when we told Kevin you were coming on here, he goes,
Kevin said we were going to have a lot of fun.
Kevin's a good guy. Don't tell him I said that. He's a good guy, though. He's the type of guy. He's the type of guy that, don't get me wrong. He's a great friend, but man, he would make a terrible enemy.
Yes, he will.
I've seen him go after some people. I used to not pray every night, but now I pray every night and I say, thank you, God. Thank you that Kevin Page is my friend and not my enemy.
Mm-hmm. Because if anybody knows Kevin and knows the issues he's had going on over there, that's not an enemy that I want.
No.
Not in the least bit.
He's like the dragon that sleeps on a pile of gold. Like I've gotten lost. I've been calling on him for almost 8 years. I still get lost in his shop.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I get lost every time I go there. And I had seen your cigars in there quite a bit. I'd heard, a lot about you and your cigars. I never had them, and it wasn't for any specific reason. It's just
it's a newer company. It's new. I'm not a household name.
You've been to Kevin's shop. You can look at the same cigar and then just walk around and find 900 other ones before you actually buy that specific cigar that you were looking at.
Yeah, if somebody calls me and they say, hey, I'm looking for something, something that has, let's say I'm looking for Cusano 97s. You know anyone that's got Cusano 97s and the sun groans? I'll be like, let me make a few phone calls. That's a lie. I don't make a few phone calls. I make one phone call, and Kevin usually has it. But if Kevin says he doesn't have it, I don't call anyone else. Because if Kevin doesn't have it, nobody has it.
And that's what I tell everybody.
So now
he actually is the one that recommended for us when we were looking at picking up your cigars for the episode. I had already bought him the Nightman for his birthday.
Okay.
When I went over to Kevin's to pick up some cigars, I told him I'm shopping for my dad.
Yeah.
And they had all the Cavalier stuff out on the table. He had your stuff out along with that as well.
There we go.
And he actually picked up the Nightman for him.
Yeah.
So
you lucky duck, you lucky duck.
I didn't have it until the other day when we went and picked it up, and I actually smoked the Robusto version of the Nightman.
Okay. What'd you think?
Oh, phenomenal.
Each Nightman you smoke makes you 1 day younger. One day.
So now let me ask you this. So why did you leave the other company that you're going to now?
I don't follow you.
So the company you're with now,
that's his company.
That's your company.
So what I do, I think I'm the only one in the industry. It's kind of confusing, and if it seems confusing, it's because it is the way I should say it. I'm an independent broker. I represent multiple companies, but a year and a half ago, I also launched my own national cigar company.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes, because we kind of do along the same lines as you as far as like a broker goes for a lot of our friends.
Okay.
Like people always say, how did you how are you a broker, but you don't have inventory? I said, I'm just the middleman. I said, but everybody I've dealt with says you're the broker, even though you don't have the product. I said, they say,
I got people skills. Hey, people like me. I'm charismatic.
Well, that's the thing is, I'm like, people like I said, and I already have relationships with shop owners from being a customer and having worked for a company once before.
Yeah.
Even though it was only for a little while, I had already established relationships. So now by being a broker, I'm taking my relationships I've had and taking the companies I work with or the friends that I work with and saying, hey, here's some of their cigars. You try them. Here's their information. If you like
grow
it,
together,
then go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? Even still.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of them say is, let's all grow together. And, there's money. What a lot of people don't know, and this, having rep for multiple companies and having your own company, there's money for everybody to eat.
Of course.
There's no need to have all this competition, and a lot of guys and a lot of the smaller companies, the boutique companies, as I say, all work together because you might get in a shop and you might have a friend who owns their company and says, hey, this is good. And then that owner brings that in and then it goes so on and so forth. And then now you guys are all in the same shop together.
But I remember it's funny because we have a company that wants us to broker for them, right?
Okay.
And I've sent samples to all the cigar shops that we go to, but we haven't heard from them in like.
And
6
it's just, but what it is the beginning of the year is always hard because a lot of places aren't buying; they're trying to clear out inventory to buy new stuff.
Yeah. Well. So a few things you guys just touched on. One, what you just said. Yeah, absolutely. Up here in the Northeast, it slows down. There's less picnics. There's less barbecues. There's less golf. Less weddings. Not every smoker that we have is a regular around the clock smoker. So we get a lot of seasonal smokers. Also, in that whole group, I guess, that sales market, a lot of the guys that buy boxes of cigars, the guys with, extra disposable income that can afford to actually get the hell out of here during the winter. So some of our best customers actually leave and go down to Florida for 3 or 4 or 5 months.
Absolutely.
But what you were touching on, there's enough to go around. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think 20 years ago, I got into the industry, I think, 2007, 2006. And it was a different breed. Each company would almost leave bombs in their wake for the next company. And that's just how they did business. They'd go and say, oh, you do business with that guy. Well, let me tell you about that guy. And we've really gotten away from that, which is good. I feel like, I can't name 2 companies right now that are at each other's throats. Where before it was like a shelf space competition. Like you'd go in and you just try to not even try to sell your stuff. You try to destroy the other guy's section. And thankfully, it's not like that. I know everyone that works in the Northeast. They're all good people. We all get along for the most part. So it's really evolved, which is good to see.
And that's what I've heard as well. They when I went in, I had ironically gotten hooked up with a company in the most, I would say, not crucial time, but the weirdest time, which was during COVID. That's when I became a rep, or as my official title was, Northeast Sales Director. Meanwhile, it was just me that was the salesperson because we had no other rep. So it was just me. Yeah. But it was just like, I feel that it was good for me, but also it didn't work in my favor at the time because I couldn't go into a lot of these lounges.
Exactly. Your hands were tied.
Especially
especially in the Northeast.
The only way I was able to make any sort of sales was through smoke shops that had humidors. That was it. I mean, that was really the only way I was able to get the product out there. And, I enjoyed the cigars too. So for me, it was nice having them right around the corner because if I wanted them, I drive 10 minutes up the road, I go pick up 6 or 7, and now I have them.
Of course.
And the funny part is now, I don't work for that company anymore. And this is not a knock on them, but I haven't smoked their cigars. I think I've smoked it maybe twice since we parted ways.
Yep.
Like there's no ill will against him. It's just
it's out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. I've expanded to not, between doing this and going to all these shops and events and working with this company and that company, my eyes are open to a lot more different cigars than just who I worked for.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
So tell me about your cigars.
So my cigars came about. I officially launched the company probably about a year and a half ago now. Well, I've been saying that for a while, so it might be getting closer to 2 years ago. My buddy Brian Matola, who's actually, I think he's in New Jersey right now. He's worming his way up here. I'm traveling with him next week.
We actually met Brian on a herf.
Yes.
And it turns out that he is cousins with Captain Lou Albano.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Managed my dad throughout the years in wrestling. I can't tell you how many times. And he was like an uncle to me. So, when we connected through that herf, it was kind of like, well, wait a minute. And, the herf kind of shifted from talking about them to the three of us just kicking stories all around for, 25 minutes.
Yeah. So that puts us, because of Brian Matola, that puts us only 3 degrees away from Madonna. From me to Brian to Captain Lou Albano, him to Madonna. There we go. With 3 degrees of separation, that's pretty damn good.
Madonna to Dennis Rodman.
There we go. There we go. The worm.
So how did you get hooked up with Brian?
So Brian was the vice president of sales of another company, and when Cavalier decided to build their own factory, Brian left that company. I ended up picking up Cavalier, and they built their own factory. And when they built their own factory, they've been around for, I want to say, about 10 years or so. But 3 years ago, when they built their own factory, that's when they started to control their own destiny. Now they can micromanage as they see fit.
Yeah, I've noticed a more pumped out market of Cavalier, and not in a bad way, just in a good way for them. Like I've noticed every few months there's a new cigar, there's a new limited run coming out in between the main drops.
They're doing it right. They really, really are. And Brian was always one of my biggest fans. So the ongoing joke was, Nick Goss is my favorite cigar company. And it was a joke because I didn't have a cigar company back then.
Right.
But when he bought into the factory, he said, well, one of your best buddies in the industry owns a cigar factory now. So we should make this a thing. So the first one I did, it was like 300 10-count boxes. It was actually made, it was a Cavalier product, Cavalier Goss 5-year anniversary. And that was received well. It turned well. And after looking at that, I decided, all right, there might be something here. So let's pull the trigger.
Now,
let's get into a full-fledged.
5-year anniversary, was that a white box?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Those are fantastic. If you see them in the wild, buy them. There was only 300 of them.
So I think the store that we just talked about, I'm 90% sure when I was there,
Kevin has them all. Kevin has, last time I did a Goss event there, I want to say he had some of the 5-year anniversary. I think I bought 2 boxes from him.
I was going to say, I think because when we were going through your cigars that he had, he had the Dayman in all the sizes, the Nightman in all the sizes. He had this, what I'm smoking now, which is the Hot August Night.
That's got tobacco in it from Paraguay.
From Paraguay. I mean, I'm enjoying it for sure. My little venture into your line over the last few days, and I will say few days, has been nothing but, good so far.
Thank you.
Between the Nightman and now this, and now that you said that, I'm going to have to go back and see what he's got left in the year anniversary.
They're good.
You're smoking the Nightman.
Some more.
He's smoking the 6x60 version.
That's I think my most popular size right now.
Well, that's what Kevin said. Kevin said that 660 is the money.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin doesn't smoke a lot of big ring gauges.
He doesn't.
And and I tell a lot of people, and you can kind of attest to this as well, is if he tells you it's a good cigar or a good brand, you can pretty much.
Oh, he's not bullshitting. Exactly.
You know, and that's what I tell everybody. I said, and Kevin has always recommended your stuff to me. Always.
I pay him. I send him checks every week. That's why.
He said, have you tried it? I said, no, I'm going to. I promise.
Yeah.
And then I go, okay, now get me like 3 of those, 2 of these, and then I forget they're there. And it's just because there's so much stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's so much stuff there.
You gotta leave a trail of breadcrumbs.
Right. And now, you know, now that I've kind of explored into your brand more and you know, we're sitting here and it's not, and I tell everybody if I'm smoking your cigar for the first time or one of your other lines,
yeah,
and I say it's good, it's not just because you're sitting on the screen with me. You know, I'm
I
enjoying it in general.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
So, why did you consider to go to your own brand?
Because it was something I've always my creative outlet in this industry. The thing I do to make this industry not get boring for me is I do a lot of marketing. I do stickers. I do canvases. It gets obnoxious. I slap my face on everything. So again, kind of an inside joke. Brian and I would always laugh that I was marketing this thing that didn't exist. There was no product. I was great at marketing, but there was no product to sell.
I was gonna say, I even think you're on a rug as well.
Yeah, yes.
I've walked across that rug, I'm pretty sure, a million times.
I get walked all over it, but but yeah, so we figured, shit, we'll give it a try. I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. I think my first core line stuff was Connecticut, Maduro in 4 sizes, Robusto, Toro 6x60. I did come out with a Lonsdale Deluxe. Because I needed my size. You have to have those 3 sizes.
Right.
Those are the 3 most sizes. I did a 6.5 by 48 because that's like my size.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm just having fun with it.
And so now I'm going to assume the first 2 you did, since you said a Connecticut and a Maduro, I'm going to assume was the Dayman and the Nightman, correct?
That's correct. Those were my first and so far my only core line. That might change this year. Got a couple things up my sleeve. I am coming out with a new limited that should start shipping either this week or next week.
So is that box that I've been seeing you promote all over?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually, when I was there, I was talking to Kevin about it. He thought he already had it. If he had it, I was going to buy it. But he said it didn't come in yet.
I think he's pre-ordered 10 boxes, I want to say.
I was going to say, he said it didn't come in yet because we were talking about it. I said, I want to smoke the new one if you have it. He goes, do I? And he's like, he's looking and he's doing one of these. And he's like, he goes, actually, I don't think I have it.
It's my cigar. I don't even have it. I wish I had one. I could smoke it and tell you how good it was.
Right.
I don't even have one, for God's sakes.
And that shows that shows that they're doing it the right way and taking the time to make sure everything's perfect when it goes out.
Yep.
You know, that's something that I enjoy, that they're taking the time to, you know, they're not rushing you boxes.
Yeah.
To just say, here, you have boxes now. You can smoke what you want. They're taking the time.
So FCT, which is the factory that makes Cavalier, which is the factory that makes my stuff, they even sent me. So with that limited, I had to redo some of my core line stuff too. Not redo it, but I had to build more inventory.
Right.
And they even messaged me and they were like, hey, so we made 400 cigars with this. You know, it's the same wrapper, but look, the color's a little bit more reddish than these. Here's a comparison. What do you want to do? Like they are nitpicking for me. They're such great people. I put it right on my box, you know, made by some of the greatest people on the planet. They're wonderful people to work with.
So now, you know, let's the core line. How did you come up with the names of the Dayman and the Nightman? Was that just because one was lighter and one was darker, or was that
I wanted something that was easy to say, easy to remember, that specified, you know, if you had to guess which one's the Nightman and which one's the Dayman, you could probably guess it. Not reinventing the wheel, just something that was short, sweet, and stuck in your head.
And depending on what kind of smoker you are, the Nightman might be your Dayman.
Exactly. I have a lot of people that send me pictures because they do it bass backwards. They'll do the Maduro in the morning and they'll smoke the Connecticut at night.
You know, and that's what I tell people sometimes. You know, they're like, how do you get up and light up a Maduro in the morning? I said, I've always done that. You know, once I ventured into the full body side, and I kind of like, you know, because the way I started with a Drew Estate acid.
Okay.
With a blondie. And then within that week, I didn't progressively, you know, make my palate stronger. I went from that to like the Super Lajero Rocky Patel and the Asylum 13 Triple Maduros. Like, I didn't have a chance to let my palate develop.
You just right out of the gate
and go right to deep. So now, you know, I'm going back and smoking over the last, I would say probably right before COVID and during COVID. It's kind of when I went back and you know, smoked all of the lighter ones, and then the Habanos and the Sumatras and the Corojos, and I kind of, you know, tried to build my palate to where it should be. But ultimately, I know where I fall. I'm a full body guy.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
But that's one of the beautiful parts when you start going back and reinvestigating stuff. And say, all right, let's see what I missed. Let's see. I was like that with Connecticut's. I never really smoked. I never really smoked a lot of Connecticut's, but then I had some that were flavorful. Some Nicaraguan Connecticut, some different, you know, all right. So then you go back and you say, all right, well, I pigeonholed all these. Let me go see what I was missing.
Right. And, you know, that's what I've kind of done. And, you know, I do tend to, you know, depending on the brand, there's a few Connecticut's out there that I will go out of my way to smoke. And I've told people that. I said, if I like the Connecticut, I'll go out of my way to find it and buy it and smoke it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, I always go back to the Drew Estate Shade, the Undercrown, because that's one of the first Connecticut's I smoked that had flavor and, you know, a little bit of a bite to where I was able to enjoy it.
They had that Nicaraguan earthiness. This is a non-boring Connecticut.
Yes. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, you know, they're like, yeah, but why do you always, you know, reference that one? I said, because that was the first Connecticut that I smoked that made me realize, okay, there is a market or a decent Connecticut out there that's not like smoking air, basically.
And it's a beautiful thing. It's your eureka moment. You're kind of like your X factor. Like, oh, okay. There's a path here I didn't see. Let me go down and see where it goes.
Exactly.
Yep.
So let's take a quick commercial break.
You got it.
Because we've been talking for almost a half hour now.
I can do that. Wait till you get me talking about food.
Oh, we could keep talking for another 40. We could keep talking for another hour. I mean,
I could go about food forever.
Let's give these people a break. Let them go to the
Is
bathroom
it Jersey
and then
Mike's?
come
I
back.
like Jersey Mike's.
No, I don't have a Jersey Mike's commercial, but the radio station we work with in Colorado is sponsored by Jersey Mike's.
Okay.
Or has a deal with local Jersey Mike's.
I like it.
So we'll be right back, guys.
Hombre muerto.
Dead man. 10 years hard time for stuff that I didn't do. You've been living on easy street. Now that is coming to you. You're a dead man. You're a dead man walking.
Yo, what is up? What is up? Yo, it's Big Dog. It's the Vanilla Gorilla.
So let's kind of get into how you came up with this one, with the Hot August Night.
So that was my second. That was my second limited. I wanted something different. I wanted something. My first limited was a milder medium. I wanted to do another limited run. That one I made 500 boxes of, and I wanted something different. I wanted something with a little bit of meat on the bone, not a powerhouse. Really, in my mind, I love Brazilian Matafina, and I went down there and I was all excited to do something with Brazilian Matafina tobacco. But they get this tobacco from Paraguay, and I smoked that, and I was like, whoa, I did like a 180. I was like, no, scratch that. We're using this.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the wrapper on it?
Yeah. So it's got Mexican San Andreas wrapper to it.
Okay. And
the Paraguay tobacco I used in that, I loved it so much. In my next limited coming out, I'm actually using a Ligero version of the same tobacco.
Okay, see now that's right up my alley.
Yeah, this one you're gonna like. It's got Ometepe in it. It's Ligero Paraguay, again San Andreas wrapper, but I think the new one coming out is probably it's strong not for the sake of being strong, but it's probably the strongest cigar that FCT's ever made.
Okay, yeah, you know what? The reason I say that Ligero is right up my alley is because the company I work for, they partner with a factory in Nicaragua.
Okay.
They had a client who ordered an all Ligero cigar.
Yeah.
And I guess never paid for it or decided they didn't want it. So he had a bunch of them sitting in the factory or in his warehouse in Florida. And he's like, he was telling me, he's like, I got an all Ligero cigar. He goes, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I mean, but he doesn't smoke a lot of heavy stuff. He smokes a lot of milder, medium. Yeah. He smokes full body, but that's like super full body.
Yeah, it's a pure cigar made of entirely Ligero.
Right,
we'll definitely wake up in
the wrapper was a Ligero binder leaf.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was like, well, I got all. I'm like, just send them to me. I said, I'll smoke them. He goes, no, you want them? I'm like, bro, I will literally smoke whatever you have in inventory. I said, because he goes, yeah, but that burns out your palate once you do that. I said, no, not necessarily. I said, if you do it, because a lot of people didn't know that, I'm like, I don't smoke that all day.
Yeah.
I said, I won't smoke that all day. I said, I'll smoke it in the morning or in the middle of the day or at night. I said, I might smoke it 3 times a day. I said, and then break it up in between. I mean,
when it's time for it, just giddy up.
That's what I tell everybody. I'm like, and then that was during COVID. So I would have them like 6:30 in the morning. I'm getting up and start sending emails. And I'm on Instagram and I'm posting because during COVID, I used to do a lot of Instagram live.
Okay.
And, then it kind of turned into this one don't like this one don't like that one. Who's this, who's that? And I was like, you know what? I'm good after that. I don't do lives like that. I mean, I used to do lives, twice a day, 3 times a day, all day, every day, because there was nothing to do but smoke.
I pick my nose too often to do anything live.
And I'm like, and see, my problem is if I don't like what people are saying, sometimes I have a tendency to make faces. So, I had to remember I was on live when I would do things like that. And I'm like,
I dated a girl that used to do that all the time.
So now, people are like, well, you don't go live anymore. I never see you do anything. I said, well, I did it during COVID when I would wake up at 6:30 in the morning and light up an all Ligero long filler cigar, and that's how I started my morning.
My phone is a weird thing there. Sorry about that. I want to make sure I didn't lose it. Sometimes it overheats. I got a new alarm I didn't know it's not overheating. We're good.
Yeah, when that happens, if you stick it in the freezer for like 5 or 10 seconds, it should stop the temperature. Mm-hmm. But so like you said, it's one of those. Ligero is an acquired taste for, as I say, for people. You got to be willing to have that punch and punch you right in the face. And I like a cigar that isn't overpowering, but like this one and like the day, man, I like it. When you off that light up, I like the initial punch that they
Yeah.
give.
The
And that's
core
just,
line.
I like the pepper of it, but I also like that you feel that it's a strong. So you taste the strongness right off the beginning.
It's got that body to it. It's got that oomph. But the core line, I wanted to be something that wasn't over the top, something you could smoke a box of without ever getting tired of them. You know, you could smoke one and say, "Ah, shit, I might have another one," and smoke another one right off the bat. This new one I'm coming out with, the Goss Frightened of This Thing I've Become. This is a cigar for the guy that not only is able to convince the stripper to come home with him, but also has to keep the boots on. If you have to keep the boots on, this is a cigar for you.
Perfect.
Exactly.
That's the only way to do it, right? Is just keep the boots on.
That's the only way.
The boots are the heels. This way you have something to grab.
Yeah. like eight hangers or whatever they are. Yeah.
yeah. The 8 hangers on the chopper.
Yep.
So now I've noticed, at least where I get the cigars, the average price is anywhere from, I think it was like 12 to 15, I think it was, or 13. And again, that's
just all cigars in general.
I think it was just I forget what the prices were. I kind of looked, but I saw like 11, $11.99, 12, 13. This might have even been 15. I don't know. I was just grabbing cigars.
I think the MSRP on that, if that's the Toro, should be about $12.99 if I was guessing.
This is the Toro of the Hot August Night.
Okay, yes. So yes, because that one, I think MSRP, I want to say it was like $13.50.
Yeah.
But with different states and different taxes and everything, it goes. Right. Especially upstate New York, for God's sakes, they've got 70% tax, and then they have reservations that have a 0% tax. So it's different, almost from town to town.
Well, they just raised the taxes.
Yeah.
From what I heard, it was, and I could be wrong, but I know they were trying to do 125%. But people wonder why. You know, I get asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
And you being a rep and going around to all these different states, people ask me, how do you combat the taxes in New York? And this is from people who smoke and they buy from the. I'm like, I said, it sounds horrible, but I don't buy in New York. I said, I go to Jersey, I go to Pennsylvania, I go to Connecticut. I said, because where we are is 30 to 45 minutes with traffic from Kevin, an hour from the PA border, and 45 minutes from the Jersey border.
Well, like, let's say you take the guys like out in Syracuse or Albany or wherever. You know, it's important. Are you paying more for the cigar? Yes. But you have to understand that the place that you go to buy the cigar, where everyone knows your name like Cheers, where they've treated you well.
Yeah.
This isn't a public service that these people, owe hours to the court, so they're doing this. It's a business, and they have overhead, and they don't like charging the tax either. So if you're going to a lounge, it's a proper match.
I do go to lounges and I do buy, and it's not like I buy, one or two. I'll buy 3 or 4 cigars, as much as I hate to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
But like some of these lounges that let us film our podcast in it.
Yeah.
They'll give us a cigar to promote.
Nice.
I always tell them, if you have something new, we just ask for one for each of us just to smoke, to promote whatever deal you're doing or whatever new you want to promote. That's it. We're not out there asking for boxes of this, boxes of that. It's just, if you have a box and you want to use the box as a promotional thing and you have like a ledge behind us, or, there's a table in the middle of us, we'll sit the box on it.
I'll get you a big, sexy Goss canvas. Don't you worry.
Oh, boy. I'll hang it up right here for when I film at the house.
I love it.
You're right behind us. Because we're working on
bring one down to Kevin.
That's our next step.
Yeah.
Is to eventually have a studio this year at some point.
Studio.
Yes.
Was that Genesis? Who sings that? Phil Collins?
I think so.
Okay.
My thing for this, the way I want it set up, and just because we're on the topic of it, is, like, I want to have the room where we film in.
Yep.
and then like almost like a green room or a lounge, a lounge hangout area.
Yeah.
Where like, if we're filming 2 or 3 episodes that day, whoever's coming down or whoever wants to come and hang out, they can sit in that room while we do our shows.
Will there be a charcuterie table? I will come if there's a charcuterie table.
I mean, if you want a charcuterie board, I can have one made.
There we go.
And I'll put it out.
I only show up with this charcuterie.
No, I'll buy one.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'll buy one pre-made. And that's kind of our goal is, to do that. And then we're looking at, I said originally August.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping by August. I don't know how it's going to work out. If not by August, hopefully by the end of the year, we're looking at having our own cigars out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because we've already done this. We started this before COVID.
Yep.
Then COVID came, my mom got sick, whatever. So we put it on hold for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've kind of become friends with a lot of the people in the industry through Instagram Live and having met them in person. So now
it's a great industry. It's a small industry.
Right. So like we have the options now of, who wants to do this with us or, who said we can use their factory, who wants us to go down with them, sit there and do all this. So, that's our goal is I'm going to say by the end of the year, to at least have 1 cigar out, if not 2. And it's not going to be a mass-produced thing. It's just going to be,
but everyone starts somewhere. But like I said, my first run was 3,000 cigars.
Right. And listen, 3,000 is a good number to start with.
Yeah.
It really is. And people have told us to try to see if we can find a place in Florida, like a virtual office or something like that to do down there.
Yeah.
This way you can register everything down there and go that route. But again, it's a
one
process.
step at a time. You'll know when it's time to do that. You'll say, geez, we need to do this. Isn't working anymore. We've gone to the point where now we need to do something like this. The industry has a way of letting you know when it's time to take that step.
Like we're hopefully, if everything works out and we get the flights and the tickets, because we have tickets to go to PCA through a friend of ours.
Okay.
So if everything works out and we can grab the flights and hotels, with everything working, we'll be at PCA this year with one of our friends.
I'll be there. We'll go grab a beer.
Absolutely. We'll even smoke cigars.
I like it. That's a good concept.
That's a good plan, right?
If there's ever been a place to do it.
And it's crazy because there almost wasn't a place to do it because they weren't going to let it happen. They weren't going to let you smoke inside from what I heard.
Yeah.
I'm hearing now that they're allowing you to smoke inside.
They had changed the last time it was in New Orleans. They had changed it. So it was almost like a catch-22. There was no smoking in public within 90 feet or 120 feet of a point of egress of any public building, which essentially shut down the entire city.
Right.
But I think they made, I could be wrong, I think they made a special exception because we had already booked it. But when we went in there, they had already banned smoking you could smoke there.
Right.
But other than that, it just changed laws. And you're like, oh. And that's why it's been in Las Vegas the past God knows how many years.
We were supposed to go last year, but things didn't align. We couldn't make it. Because the same guy that we have tickets with this year was giving us tickets last year.
Okay.
So, he's like, if you guys can get the hotel and the airfare, I have your tickets waiting for you.
I like it.
So we're going to start trying to grab airfare and even an Airbnb if it's, grab something cheap because it's only going to be for a couple of days.
I might bring a tent and just sleep in one of the cemeteries. They're all walled off. It's good. It's good climate down there. That's,
Yeah. I mean, you have
like a Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, exactly. Scooby-Doo episode with cigars.
Zoinks.
Roro. So how did you, because I know we asked about the Nightman and how did you do the Hot August Night? How'd you come up with that name?
So that is, it's a sensitive subject. Legally, I don't know if I'm allowed to fully answer that question, but I can tell you I want most of my core line to be simple names.
Right.
And moving forward, I think all my limited don't hold me to this. I'm going to be kind of long-winded, kind of out of the box names.
Okay.
So like that one's, the Goss Hot August Night live at the Greek Amphitheater. Now I'm coming out with a Goss Frightened of This Thing I've Become.
Right.
And then I have Dayman Nightman.
And then the 5-year anniversary, if you can find it.
5-year anniversary was the first year, kind of in the middle of the, that was the Test the Waters cigar.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's, I personally like the limited editions with like the cool names because it's stuff that, may not be a core line, but if it does good, if it works out well, then, it becomes a core line or it becomes a limited run, but at the same time, the sizes are expanding, each time the run is done.
And there's a fine line with that because, like, take the Goss 5-year anniversary. I told people I was only making 300 boxes. Everyone loved it. I have the rights to the blend, but I still feel that if I was to come out with that again,
right,
probably the majority of people would be happy, but there would be a handful of people that are like, well, no. You said, I bought this and I've been sitting on it because you said there were only 300 of them. Like, and that's not my intention either. So I might come out with that in a different size at some point. But I got 3 rules. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Show up and don't be an asshole.
Right.
So if I said I was only coming out with 300 in that size, that's,
And that's what some companies get and some don't. I like the limited run where, it might be one size 1 year.
Yeah.
Or, let's just say that's one size 5 years ago. Now when you hit that next mark or that 5, or you want to re-release the 5-year, you put it out in a different size as another limited run.
So Espinosa does that almost every year with the Warhead.
Yes.
The Warhead is always the same blend, but it's in a different size because he wants to show you how the size affects the blend and how the different years vintage tobacco affects it.
Right.
I look forward to those every year.
Well, and it's funny because, like you said about the sizes, I learned from Rick Rodriguez, this is something I didn't know. I always wondered why box press tasted better than the regular round size cigar. And I've known Rick a few years. I met him when I was starting to put out my own stuff. We were just talking, ironically, at Kevin's place. It was his last event with Ciego. We just happened to start talking, and I kind of walked away. I'm like, let him do his thing, whatever. He came out, he found me, and we started talking more. And that was the honor to me was not only him, but Michael Giannini. When I said, we're getting ready to put out our own cigars, they turned around and were like, well, listen, if you want to send us some, we'd love to give you feedback on it. And for 2 guys in the industry that I respect, that I'm friends with till this day now, to say something like that to me was like, wow, like, that's big.
And the industry, thankfully, is filled with people like that. They're great guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. I call them great to be on my podcast.
This industry still has assholes, but we definitely have less than our fair share of assholes. Everyone's closet cigar nerds. Everyone wants to see everyone else succeed. It's he was sincerely 50% happy for you and wanted to let you know he wanted to smoke it. But the other 50%, he sincerely wanted to smoke something different. He wanted to see what you blended. He was excited for it.
Right.
It's like the Willy. What's that Willy Wonka thing in the glass elevator? Excuse me for a second. There we go. Right. He's in the glass elevator. What the little boy that tried everything and how it's just born now or however it goes. I misquoted Willy Wonka.
And people are like, well, are you afraid that if somebody like that tries your blend, and I'm not saying they would or whatever, but they're like, aren't you afraid that if they try your blend and they like it, they might try to take it? I said no. I said, and here's why. I said, because the thing would be is you want to do it, okay. And I've told this to numerous people. They're like, well, what if this person wants to work with you? Okay, well, I have the blend or I have a blend. You like it. Yeah. So why don't you try? If you can recreate it at your factory, then we'll do a collaboration.
Exactly.
And that's why I was like, okay. And then when he sat down with us at Kevin's bar one night, for a West.
Yeah.
It was a West Tampa event.
Yeah.
He sat down with us. It was me, my dad, and one of my best friends. My friend, he owns his own driving school. He has his own business. He doesn't get out too much because he's so busy. So we brought him out that night, and I seen Rick. We pulled up late from Kevin's. I get out of the car, and I see him walking by, and I go, Rick. He turns, bro, how are you? Comes over, gives us a hug.
Yeah.
How are you? He goes, you come? I said, yeah, well, let's go to the bar. We go to the bar. He's doing the event. We're sitting down, and he just comes over and sits with us. And my boy's like, yo, how did you? I said, because I'm not, I'm not one of those guys and I'm not one of those people that hounds everybody while they're working. Like, I don't stand there while they work and, let's talk. Okay, I'm going to go sit down now. I'm here. Whenever you want to talk, I'm here. If you want to sit down, I got a spot. You let me know. And I walk away. Yeah. And now if you choose to come find me, that's
there's a lot of fake bathroom trips. That's my thing. When I get cornered, and it's been 40 minutes, sometimes, not often, once or twice a year, I'll have to use the bathroom. And I'll excuse myself, and that's every time.
Yeah.
Like I just did an event a month ago, and I told them, let me share with you how much I enjoy being here. Not a single one of you have I had to pretend to use the bathroom to get out of a conversation with.
And that's always a good thing. And for guys like him, and I had Jack Tarano sit with us at another event. Like,
I love Jack. Jack is.
People like,
do you remember the 90s animated X-Men cartoon?
Yes, I've seen it. Yes. Jack
Tarano is the Beast. If you pull up a picture of the Beast from that cartoon and you look at Jack, it's dead on. Nicest guy in the world.
Nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
He is.
He really is.
When we sat with Rick, he explained to us about the whole flathead thing and how it was going to be round originally, but then his blender came to him and said, let me make you this way. And he got into the box press.
Yep.
And I didn't know this. And you smoke cigars. Sometimes you don't realize things that you don't realize the nuances that happen while you're smoking it. And he told me, he goes, when you smoke it, the sides of your mouth are open.
Okay.
So when you're inhaling, it's bringing in air with it. And that's why you're getting that instant taste of everything coming out of the cigar.
What I learned it does too is it also, it smushes. Well, I call it like the bottom of the fruit salad bowl. Mm-hmm. So we'll bring up Espinosa again. Espinosa does a cigar called the Laranja.
Yes.
And they do one size, the Caxa, which is box press. And if you smoke that one, it smokes different.
So the lounge I go to that I'm a member of has those. I haven't tried those yet. I haven't tried that one.
Smoke the regular one, then smoke the Caxa. I think they both they do a Toro and they do the Caxa in a Toro. What you'll find is it tastes slightly different, but all the oils from the tobaccos when you box press it blend together.
Right.
So it makes it more, the box press one's more of a uniform taste, where to me, the non-box press version changes up on you every 5 minutes. It's got little subtle pockets of different things, where the box press, I don't get that as much.
No, but it was something that I didn't even realize, like that's the reason sometimes a lot of people like the box press. I never knew that.
That, and it doesn't roll off the table.
Right. Well, that too. You can sit that thing basically anywhere and it barely moves.
Yeah.
You could shake the table and it won't go anywhere.
The urban
cigar on the table, you tap the table, it just goes boop.
The urban legend I heard, I don't know if it's urban legend or truth or both or whatever, was originally, 150 years ago in Cuba, there wasn't a count. There wasn't, okay, I'm getting a box, there's going to be 25 in the box. They just put as many that would fit, and they chip them. So by the time you got and opening it up, because they packed it so full, you'd take them out, and some of them would have corners from where they were squeezed in there. And then people started smoking it like that, and they started almost preferring it like that. So then they had to start doing that on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's that that whole concept to me sometimes it's crazy that when you hear all the different sizes and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, I have a very good friend of mine who's like a brother to me. That when I find sizes or I grab cigars, I'm like, yo, I can't tell the size.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you find them, some shops only have them just sitting in, wooden racks, or they have them in bins because they're, there's 2 or 3 in a box. And I'm like, I'll text them, I'm like, hey, I found this cigar. I'm like, it looks like a Churchill, or it might be a Lonsdale.
Yeah.
But then he'll look at it and he'll go, what? I'm like, I think it's a Lonsdale. And he'll look and he'll be like, oh yeah, that only came in this size or this size. He's Drew Estate's best friend.
Okay.
He's like a brother to me. Like, I call him all the time. I hang out with him 3-4 times a week when he's not on the damn road so much.
But let's be honest.
What?
Let's be honest. All the sizes are made up. They're all made up.
They are. Just,
as long as it's kind of close. There's some people that do a 5.5 by 56 Robusto.
Yeah.
There's some people that do a 5 by 50. I've seen 4.5 by 52 Robusto. It's all
right.
made up.
No, it is. And
what's the difference between short Robusto and a Rothschild?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. No one knows. It's just marketing.
I just realized that. I'm like, I don't know.
No one knows.
That's crazy. And you know what else I found out too? Not found out, but something that, shouldn't say that. A cigar that I finally tried.
Yeah.
Because you said you broker for a lot of companies.
Yeah.
So one of the cigars I shied away from because I was told it was only made for the West Coast or that Midwest market was the Crux cigars.
Okay.
And again, I went to Kevin when I was picking up your stuff, and he had just gotten them in.
So Crux hadn't had any representation up in the Northeast. The owner, Casey, was doing his best trying to travel the whole country, but it's hard to build relationships that way.
Right.
They, about 2 or 3 years ago, did a big rebranding of everything. All their tobaccos aged 4 years. Everything finishes very, very clean.
Because I had heard
clean. If you are OCD, this is the best cigar for you.
Okay. Yeah, I had heard a lot of mixed reviews on them at one point. People like, oh, they're not that good. They were only made for, because I guess at one point they were only on the West Coast.
And that could have just been a representation thing.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And people like, it was blended for the West Coast market, because they don't smoke a lot of strong cigars out there.
He's got a couple. The Epicure Maduro.
So
he's
I
got
had,
the Born Bear.
I think that's the one I had.
Okay.
Kevin recommended it to me. When Kevin recommends me something, I tend to just buy it. It was the Epicure, the light blue.
That Epicure Maduro. That's them.
Okay, so that was a fantastic cigar.
Oh yeah.
And when we were talking, he was like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "Nick reps for them." He's like, "You should talk to him."
Yeah.
Or brokers for them. And I'm like, "Oh." And I had said to him, I said, "Listen, Kev, I'm going to be honest with you. I heard, just like I said to you, I heard mixed things."
Mm-hmm.
And I shied away from it because I'm like, well, it's one of those, I didn't want to get my hopes up and then buy it and then I smoke it and it's not that good.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be disappointed. So I've shied away from it, I would say, up until that point for probably, like you said, about 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there were any retailers. Maybe there was 1 or 2 retailers in the Northeast selling it 2 years ago.
I think JR's had them. J&R's had them at one point.
Okay.
I don't know. I think they still do, but they had them. And the guys in there that know me, because I've been going there, said the same thing. They're like, they were the ones that were like, it's made for that West Coast market. It's not really made for the Northeast. They said, and it's not a knock on the brand. They said some brands are just blended for certain areas.
I haven't heard anything from that. I know originally I think they're from Minnesota. They're down in Florida now. But they're using tobacco from AJ Fernandez.
Okay.
And they're using tobacco from Placencia family.
Okay.
And he's got a horse for every jockey. And like I said, I know a couple of years ago they rebranded and reblended, I want to say, everything. So everything's at least 4 years minimum aged.
Yeah, that was probably when I was going to try them, was before they rebranded.
Yeah. He's starting to make some waves up here now.
That was probably before they rebranded.
Yeah.
And that's when I was kind of like, all right, you know what? Let me, and I'm one of those, like, just because I don't buy it doesn't mean I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's just, but like, people are like, well, what if somebody gives it to you? I said, I'm going to smoke it. Somebody gave it to me.
Yeah.
I said, I'll smoke it. I said, if I don't like it, hey, listen, I didn't pay for it.
Exactly.
You know, and,
So
and
the thing you need to know about me, I'm very, very lazy. And the hardest thing to do in this industry is sell a bad cigar. So if it's a company I'm representing, I can promise you that they're delicious because
so you're kind of the
that
same
makes my job easy. All I have to do is say, hey, smoke this. You smoke it, and you say, oh, this is delicious. I say, yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
that's my job.
You're the same way essentially that we are is, you know, we're very picky when it comes to companies we work with or, you know, we give everybody a chance to come on a podcast. You know, there's some cigars that people have sent us that haven't come on yet that are
Yeah.
They're just cigars. I mean, there's nothing special. They're not really flavorful, but I give everybody a shot to come on.
Yeah.
And promote your brand. But what I tell a lot of people is if you don't see me promote it after that, or even before that, when I was just promoting on Instagram, I said, if there's a cigar that I post and then you see the post come down, I said, there's a reason for that. I said, there's a reason for that. They're like, well, what's that? I said, it just wasn't a good cigar.
Wasn't meant to be.
What was wrong with it? And I tell everybody, I'm not going to go on and badmouth the company. I'm not going to do it. I won't smoke their stuff again. And
everyone's palate's different. Just because I don't like some cigars doesn't mean it's a bad cigar. It just means it's not for me. There's some,
and that's what I tell people is I've had to learn that. I myself have had to learn that.
Was the big thing in the 90s.
My palate, it's not for yours.
There was a big thing in the 90s, the big rush on Cameroon. I don't like Cameroon. It's not for me. Doesn't mean that, you know, the Prodigus 40s coming out with bad cigars. I just don't like Cameroon.
That's something I've come to like over the past few years. I don't smoke it a lot because a lot of companies don't work with Cameroon.
Yeah, it's hard to get.
But it is. And one of the ones that I really enjoy is the nub Cameroon that Oliva makes.
Yeah.
I happen to enjoy that one. I don't know if it's just because it's different from, you know, because like we said, a lot of people don't use that wrapper. So, you know, it's something different, and it's that short 4x60 cigar. And I happen to enjoy that. The New World Cameroon Select is something I happen to enjoy, but it depends on the brand too. Like there are some brands I've tried the Cameroon and it just didn't impress me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been told that, you know, not everybody can work with every wrapper. Some people don't know how to blend through all those wrappers.
So I like my Cameroon like I like my crab rangoons. You know, if you go to the fancy Chinese food restaurant, there's big chunks of crab in there. It's not for me. If it's just cream cheese and artificial crab, then I'm gonna like it. That's how I like my Cameroon. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does, and you know, it's something that you don't see a lot of companies work with. But and I've noticed over the years, if companies work with it, it's like you do, like a limited run.
Yeah.
They use it as a limited run, and a lot of people who use it as like a tester. If it sells good or people want more of it, then they add it to their core line. Exactly. And I think personally, I think that's a smart idea is, you know, if you're going to work with something new, you know, maybe release it as a limited run and see how it does.
Absolutely. Just like
that could be me. I don't know if everybody feels the same or if that's how you feel. That's just me personally.
Was it Punch or CAO? One of them used to do a thing where they came out with a 3-pack. It was in a tin. And it came with a ballot. And you'd vote. They'd say, all right, here's 3 cigars. One of these cigars is going to be made into a regular production. And they actually had the people vote on it.
Wow. That's interesting. The one company who does that now is Blackbird. They have Jonas does that. He has a smoking panel.
Okay.
They send you 2 cigars and you get a survey. And you get a survey in your email, and just like you said, you fill it out. You grade the construction, the smoke time, the output, the notes, what you think the wrapper is, you know, and it's eventually you get a thing when it goes into production. You know, they'll like
broken wings
say,
and learn to fly. Oh my life.
Like he's another one that did a rebranding. You know, like you were talking about earlier, Crux rebranded. Yeah. He did the same thing. He had his own factory. He built a new factory, and he went through and re-perfected all of his blends.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of brands that won't do that. They won't go through and revise their blends throughout the years.
Because it's scary. You know, You're taking a gamble. I'm selling 50 units of this a month. If I rebrand it, maybe I'll sell 100. Maybe though I'll only sell 25. Everyone still remembers when, you know, everyone still remembers why Coca-Cola says Coca-Cola Classic. So they changed the formula. They thought it was going to be the next, and not so much.
Right. Well, because they took the actual fun out of the Coca-Cola.
Yes.
They took the actual fun part out. I mean, you know, so, but
everybody's working for the weekend.
You know, it's an interesting concept, man. And I tell everybody, you know, this cigar world is very small.
It is.
You're surprised who knows who and who's friends with this one. And it's kind of like the wrestling world, which is kind of how this came about.
Yeah.
With my dad wrestling for 20 years or 25 years and then coming out of retirement in 2022 in October. Wow. October 3rd.
Yeah.
Or 23rd.
He
came out of retirement to team with me.
I love it.
You know, so that was a fun moment for me. I mean, you know, because I grew up watching my dad. Yeah. I grew up going to the shows.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, and then to have those moments of, you know, he gets to team with me, or I shouldn't say that. I get to team with him. You know, and the first show I did, I kind of just let him do his thing. You know, I wasn't a very loudmouth guy. I didn't talk much. I let him do it because he's done it for 25 years.
He's been quiet since the commercial break. Is it something I said?
No, actually, he's been up since like 1 o'clock this morning.
Oh, okay. God love him. God love him.
He went to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because he's got to be up at 1 o'clock tomorrow morning.
It was the soothing tone of my voice.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And you know, I let him do all the talk in the first show.
Yeah.
But it was funny because like I stood on the apron.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was the outside looking in, you know, kind of like I was to this industry before I really got involved in it. I was on the outside looking in, and it was just kind of like, wow, like, you know, I'm really here, like I'm watching him do this.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's a cool moment.
It was because I tell everybody, I'm like, yo, I felt like a kid because I let him go in first. And then he tagged me in, and I'm like, it was just like I was on the apron. I was watching like a kid.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit! Like, wait a second.
I can't imagine.
I'm like, I'm supposed to be in this match.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit! Now it's my turn.
It's like I forget, and I'm sure everyone listening to this, especially if you're listening to it in Colorado, you can probably guess by my accent what part of the country I'm from. So I hate to be a stereotype. I hate to be a stereotype, but it's like David Ortiz. Yes. He played for years after 2004, to the point where, so one of the colleges in Boston, Northeastern, before like the spring training games, the first game they'd always play against the Northeastern college kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did the math, there was a chance that you could have been 5 years old watching David Ortiz, you know, hit, you know, essentially beat the Yankees in 2004 and become Mr. Clutch. And now here you are in college and you're on the mound and you're pitching to the same guy who's still playing for the Reds. Like, can you imagine the fear of like?
and that's the truth, because you know, at that same show, you know, the guy that ran the show that booked us was a guy that my dad wrestled with for 25 years.
Wow.
That he's best friends with. He's been on my show twice now, I think, or at least once.
Yep.
You know, and there was another guy there who my dad had reconnected with at a show 20 minutes from my house that we went to, that we were working commentary for.
Okay.
You know, and then we got booked on that show, and you know, it was like, wow, like, you know, I'm in this room with guys that probably have more experience in shower time than, you know, 3/4 of the locker room. So then they went to go take a picture, the three of them, and I stood out of the way because, you know, I'm new. I have no business being in any of these pictures.
Yeah.
This is for them, the three guys that started together, you know, in that picture. And then, and I had a friend of mine on a couple weeks ago who's a wrestler.
Okay.
With one of the guys my dad wrestled with. And I said the same story is, you know, they took that picture. That was for them. I was off to the side just like, wow, like that's insane to see these guys all 25 years later,
yeah,
you know, still kicking around.
That's awesome, though.
And
I love stuff like that.
And then all of a sudden they were like, where's Joey?
Yeah.
I'm off to the side. I'm like, yo, this ain't my pony. This is not my show. This is for you.
Yeah.
And they're like, where's Joey? He's like, over there. Joe, come here. I'm like, what? They're like, get in this picture. And me being the guy I am and the respect I have for the business, like Brian does for Captain Lou, you know, on that side of the business, same thing. I'm not getting in that picture. This isn't mine.
Yeah.
And, you know, like my friend said, is
you
that
was one of them. You could die the one with them, one without.
Yeah. That's when he said, he goes, that wasn't your choice. He said that was the OG's choice was for you to be in that picture. It wasn't left up to you to decide yes or no.
Exactly.
That was their decision for you to be in that picture. You know, and it was crazy because I'm like, wow, like, you know, and because I respect that business just like I respect the guys that do cigars. Yeah. I'm like, I don't belong here. Like, you know, it's like what's out of place in this picture, and I'm like, I don't belong. But in their mind, because I grew up around the business, you know, essentially, I'm grandfathered into that spot.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't belong here. Like, this is not, you know, and then the next time I had the opportunity to book with a company in North Carolina and kind of run the creative, you know, and I was able to return the favor to the guy that booked me for my first match.
That's cool.
And then, you know, we went out there. We were supposed to have our own match, but the team we were supposed to wrestle against couldn't make it because of personal problems. So we went out there and had a three-way tag match. You know, us, two other teams. Yeah. And the guy that booked me had seen my first show. And then he was in the locker room in the back, and he heard the crowd going nuts for us.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
When your cigar gets down to like this,
mm-hmm.
and you smoke it, am I the only one that feels like John Wayne from The Longest Day, like storming the beaches of Normandy, just like,
because I always say, if I don't feel like him, I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator.
Yes.
With the cigar down to here, just chewing on it like this.
Gonna have me some fun.
Yeah.
Gonna have me some fun. Oh, that's Predator. Yeah. Sorry. That's Predator.
Yeah. No, and you know, it was crazy because like I got to return that favor to him of, you know, let me book you down in the Carolinas. You've never been there. Let me book you. And you know, the biggest thing for me, and I've told him this till this day, was when I came back through that curtain, he came out of the back because he heard the crowd. And there wasn't a lot of people. There was probably 20, 30, maybe 30 people at most.
Yeah.
And he came out of the locker room and came over to us and was like, God damn, I'm glad I'm not following that match because of the reception. And you know, to me, that meant a lot, you know, because it was like, okay, I went from being the guy who didn't say much to the guy who cut the promo before we walked through the curtain, the guy who was screaming at the crowd, the guy who was, you know, yelling at the camera, yelling at the guys in the ring.
You ever see the Key and Peele skit where it's the guy that had to give the speech after Martin Luther King's "I Had a Dream" speech?
Yeah, I have seen that. I have seen
you know, he said a lot of the same things I was gonna say.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I'm like, you know, to me, I'm like, that's crazy. And you know, people ask me like, yo, how come you don't talk that much when you do the shows, or why don't you do this? I said, what do you mean? I'm like, they're like, I watch your podcast. They're like, dude, you have a lot of, you know, insightful knowledge on both industries. They're like, you don't say much on the podcast. I said, because most of the time we have guests like yourself or guests like Rick or guests like Mike, who I ask a question and I just sit back and listen because you can keep going. And that's what I tell everybody. I'm like, there's times I don't have to say anything. I give a question and I just let the guest go. And it is what it is. I was like, that's the best way to do it because to me, they might answer a question you have or a question the people have. that are watching.
Throw them at me. I can answer questions. I can do that.
I know you can. I already see it. So let me ask you this. Besides,
If I don't know the
project
answer, I'll make something up.
there you go. Listen, as long as you can bullshit, you can make it in any industry. I don't care what it is.
Absolutely.
So besides your new cigar coming out,
Yes.
which you said is already on pre-order, when does that go out to the retailers for people watching?
As soon as it gets in the system, it arrived at the warehouse yesterday. I need them to put it with inventory into the program that we use. As soon as that happens, I'm going to call, see if people want to tag on some Cavalier to be shipped with it or more Goss core line. And at that point, it'll ship. So it should ship maybe end of this week, beginning of next week, if I was guessing.
Perfect. Just in time for my birthday.
That's why I did it that way. Yeah.
My birthday's in 20 days. So it works.
There we go.
It works. So besides that, what else can they see from you coming out next year?
If
you played around with plans to release anything.
Yeah, nothing. I've had a couple plans I've been toying around with. Nothing that's in production, nothing that's any more than a thought at this point, but probably doing a second core line of maybe smaller, more traditional little cigars. Okay. That's something I want to do. I don't know if that's something that I'll do this year or next year, but it's on the docket. So I think that would do well. There's not a lot of small cigars out there, especially, even though I like heavier stuff, there's not a lot of milder, there's not a lot of medium, there's not a lot of competition for it out there either. So something in a lower price range, short little smokes in a box.
So when you say short smokes, are you talking about, because I only asked because I had Patina cigars on, and he makes a small, I think it's like a 4.5.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Or 4.5.
I don't have the size yet, but it would probably be 2 lines, 2 different wrappers. It would probably be 3 or 4 different sizes. Again, you're talking your 6 by 44.
Like your normal size,
your 4.5 by 48. So just small little traditional stuff.
Quick smokes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I was with a company they had one line of cigars, and that was their number 2 bestseller. And for whatever reason, they never wanted to get behind it. And I always pushed them. Why aren't we getting behind this? We don't want to sell those. Well, then why do you make them? It was a number 2 bestseller, and they didn't care about it. So there's definitely a demand.
I can tell you, there's a market for those smaller.
Of course. And I don't see a lot of people taking advantage of it. Now, there might be a reason behind the curtain that I haven't stumbled upon yet. That maybe when I go to do it, I say, "Oh, okay. Well, that's why.
Right.
That's why these people are doing this."
Right.
But
you're never going to know until you go try it.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Exactly, and I mean, there's definitely, and obviously, you being in the Northeast, in the wintertime that there's a huge market for those short smokes.
Of course. Well, car
huge market, and exactly. I mean, I tend to sometimes, I'd say, overdo the car ride smokes.
Yeah.
I'd start off smoking
those. I'd start off, when I first started smoking cigars, because my old man smoked them, his old man smoked them. I'd smoke the little perotis.
That's how I started smoking cigars. Was my dad smoked them, and then I would go to the lounge with him and hang out before you had to be 18 to go in.
And I could tell you, I have to go from here to there. Well, that's a 2 perotti car trip. Oh, from here to here, I'd actually mentally break out how many perotis I could have from point A to point B.
Hey, listen, you know what? I'm the same way. Like I've known the smoke time of a lot of sizes.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I'm going an hour. All right, I'm like, I could do a Toro. I could do 6 by 60. I'm like, well, but then I'll go, well, this Robusto burns for like 45 minutes. So maybe I'll go with this one.
Yeah.
I'll just, I figure, okay, I'll get it 15 minutes. I'll stop. I'll get something to eat. I'll eat something. And then when I get to the lounge or wherever I'm going, I'll light up another one, or I'll buy something from there. Like I've gotten to the same way now, like where I've kind of, figured it out. Like I did a 3.5-hour trip to PA twice, for concerts over the last couple of summers.
Okay.
And I've had the Liga A's in my humidor.
Yeah.
And I know, okay, I got a 3.5 hour trip. Cool. I can have my one
There you
Liga
go.
A on the way down.
It was meant to be.
And then on the way home, like I'll stop at a cigar store out there because I'm not far from Harrisburg or CI or anything. So I'll grab a cigars out there.
Yep.
And then I'll go, okay, I'm just going to light this up on my way home. That one's finished halfway through. I might stop, eat something out of my bag or whatever snacks I have.
Yep.
Wait a little while. Then I start reaching the humidor like this as I'm driving for another one. I'll cut it while I'm driving. I'll light it. I'm like, okay, you know, I got this amount of time left or whatever, this time, that time. You know, and it's when you get to that point of like, you know, your time limits and how long you can smoke.
Oh, yeah.
Not that you're smoking a lot, but you've got it down to a science at that point.
Exactly.
And that's sometimes as cigar smokers, especially in this weather or up in this area, that's the way you have to have it.
Yeah.
Because you have to know how long you got.
Yeah. Oh, you can always take the long way home too.
Well, that too. I mean, you can always just do
I think
like
that's a Tom Waits song.
in the car and
Take
finish
the long way home.
I'll sit in the car. I'll go sit out on the back porch. I don't care.
Yep.
If it wasn't raining right now, that's probably where I'd be sitting.
Yeah, but it's been nice. It was like 50 degrees today, for God's sakes. I'll take it.
I know. I lit up a cigar to go pick my dad up from work.
Yeah.
It was still lit on the way back, so I came inside. I mean, I smoke inside too when it's freezing out, but
yeah,
I sat on my back porch on in a shirt and a pair of sweatpants, and I was just enjoying it. I had my coffee. I was finishing my cigar. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, I love it. Come summertime, that my back porch, man, gets so much use because I'll sit out there for hours.
Of course.
I'll put on, you know, TV or a movie or wrestling, whatever, and people won't hear from me. Like my dad and my mom sometimes don't even know I'm there.
Yeah.
Because I'll sit up out there and then my dad will come home from work in the summer. Where's Joey? Like this after an hour of being home. Be like, where's Joey? I haven't seen him. You know, I don't know where he is. And I'll pop in. Hey, they're like, oh shit, I didn't even know you were out there. You know, because when I sit out there, I'm quiet. I don't really go on Instagram.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. I'm calling bullshit on that.
It depends on what I'm watching. If I'm watching wrestling, I'm not a very quiet person.
How could you be?
Like after this, after I eat, wrestling's on at 8:00, I'll sit out here and smoke another cigar and watch wrestling out here, and then I'll go to sleep and go to work tomorrow.
I like it.
So anything else that we haven't touched on or anything else you want to talk about before we get off?
Yeah. You're the interviewer. Throw it at me. Nothing else I can think of that comes to mind. I'm coming out with my first limited, and like I said, in probably about a year or so, year and a half. I'm excited for that. Maybe this year a new call line. Maybe 2026. I don't know. But I've been having fun. I've been all over hell and creation like the human ping pong ball.
I think you were at Kevin's a couple weeks ago, I think.
Always. I'm omnipresent. I'm always at Kevin's. Even though I'm at my house right now, I'm also still at Kevin's.
Yes, because there's a rug on the floor.
Omnipresent, like Santa Claus.
Yes. No, because I had seen your event. I was gonna try to make it, but my mom gets out of work at like sometimes depending between 5 and 5:45.
Yeah.
So by the time I get her home and then I shoot out there, it's almost 7:00.
Mom is much more important.
Absolutely. No, and you know, I eventually my plan if I can make it out to an event when you're out there, I obviously I'll come.
Yeah.
Because I go to Kevin's. I was going to Kevin's at one point. It's like fucking 3 times a week.
We try to do, I think, probably 4, maybe 5 events a year, if I was guessing.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I know he used to try to use the bar as much as possible.
Yeah.
But it's open now. It's just there's nobody there to work the place.
Yeah, he's doing it though. He's killing it.
He's when I was there the other day picking up cigars, he was like, "Yeah, I just had this much go out the door. I just had 1,600 to this person go out there." I'm like, God damn.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I knew he did business, but
he's the hardest working man in show business.
Oh my God. I mean, the hardest working man I've ever seen.
Yep.
Between trying to fix up, you know, if he gets his humidifier, I think broke, he got a new one, but he was taking apart the old one. And I'm like, dude, do you stop? He's like, no.
Never.
Like I told him, because my dad's getting ready to retire in April.
Okay.
I said to Kevin, I'm like, oh, that means I have to come buy him I said, I'm going to have to get him a nice box of cigars. I didn't say come there. Kevin goes, we're here for you. I said, I know you are, Kevin. Like, I know you are. Trust me. I'm
That's
like,
why I brought it up.
I'm like, all I know is I have to just make a phone call. Yo, Kev, I need a box of cigars for my dad. What do you got?
Yeah.
And it's nice when you go to a shop like that he knows what you like already.
Oh, of course.
Because I like
he
when I
hand sells. He remembers people's names. The whole industry is relationship building.
Like I called him the night I was going out there. My mom went to the doctor for a quick appointment that turned out to not be so quick.
Okay.
I called him because it was like the holiday weekend of New Year's. So I called him like, Kev, it's Joey. Hey, what's up? I'm like, yo, what time you open to?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll be there. I told him like I should be there in the next 45 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
I showed up at like 6:50. I walk in, he goes, "Don't you fucking said you're gonna be here an hour ago?" I'm like, let's just forget that ever happened. I'm like, that's not a thing. And I said to him, he goes, "What do you need?" I'm like, "Here's my budget. I'm shopping for my dad. What do you got?" And you were one of the first cigars he grabbed.
Again, we went over this because I pay him. I send him a check every week.
Hey, listen, that's what it is. Hey, listen, and he's like, oh, this one. He was like, he ever had a Goss? I said, neither one of us have. He goes, oh, he'll like this one. And he grabbed out. He goes, get this one. And I'm like, now I need a stick for the ride home.
Yeah.
And he turns around. And he goes, you ever had this Cavalier? And it was the like $8 or $9 one. The
Tres Delinquente.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good. That's all long fill of tobacco too.
He goes, it's a 6x60. He goes, what do you got? I said, like 45-minute ride home. He goes, you'll like this. Trust me.
6 1/4 by 60 even.
He was like, you'll like this. Sure enough, I got in the car. I lit it up. I'm like, this son of a bitch.
Huh?
He fucking did it again.
Is that me or you making that static noise?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm checking my phone to make sure it's not. My phone wasn't near this.
Oh, yeah. Say that again.
So
that was weird. Something's up.
Yeah, I know my phone was ringing, but it was vibrating.
Your phone's vibrating or my phone's vibrating?
My phone was vibrating off to the side over here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You sound like Megatron. I sound like Megatron, too.
It also could be StreamYard.
Say that again?
I said it also could be StreamYard.
It could be.
It could be. This tends to mess up. As
long as
people at home mess up during the interview, I'm good. So,
let's
there
try
we
it
go.
again.
Let's see. Hold on. All right. I mean, this was definitely a fun interview for sure.
Yeah, man. I've been having fun. I've been having fun with it.
I had a blast. I definitely, when that new one comes out, I definitely want to sit down again for sure when I get that new one and set up some time to maybe do it,
Yeah.
again.
I'm going to try to turn off my mic and turn it back on, see if that's it.
Here we go. Hold on.
There we go. Now we're back.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to try to do this again when your new one comes out.
Of course.
Maybe set up a day, maybe do it live if we can set that up whenever you're available to do it.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Because this interview is going to go out to Roku, our Roku channel that we're on, our Amazon channel, our YouTube, Facebook. It's going to go all over.
I love it.
So once this is done, I'll upload it, and then Sunday morning it'll be on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network on Roku.
Okay.
It'll be on the MB Radio app that goes to Roku and Amazon.
Yeah.
Which are our veteran-owned radio station we work with in Colorado.
Text me all the links and all the places people can view it, and I'll definitely put that on my social media. And
I'll
be a win-win scenario.
I'll even put it in the Facebook group. I'll share it out Sunday morning.
Awesome, man.
This way it's there.
And as soon as this one comes out, I'm going to send you some, and let's do it on the new one too.
Absolutely. Listen, you tell me. Whenever you're free, you let me know.
Absolutely, brother.
Even if I got to do it live on another night, I'll just double check with the guy that runs the station, And as long as
Yep.
there's nothing on, we can at least go live on one of the Roku apps and our YouTube and everywhere else.
Okay, perfect. I like it. I can do that.
Perfect.
I can go 2 hours without picking my nose.
Yeah,
Maybe.
well, if it's on our YouTube, as long as there's nothing else on it, we could go 2 hours if we can go 2 hours. I mean,
I like it.
you know. So,
Rock,
all right, Nick.
Rock,
Well,
you
this has
talking
been
more
fun.
about it.
I appreciate it. Thank
I
you
appreciate
again.
everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a blast. I'm looking forward to doing it again and eventually meeting you
I
in
am
person,
too.
obviously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'll meet you halfway. We'll meet at Kevin's or something.
There we go. That works.
There we go. Yeah. Hey, you have a good night, brother.
Man, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.